Okay, can I be heard? Oh, I only see that it's one. Okay, now I'm kind of seeing that it's. Let me see if it'll allow me to. Testing, testing, testing. I feel like I gotta scream. So maybe I should take it off of this. Can you hear me? Am I being heard? I see the I see this moving, the speaker part moving a little bit. At first, it wasn't doing anything, but now I feel like it's probably not really loud. Okay. Thank you. I had to restart my computer. All right, so I was talking a lot about some of my sort of activities over the weekend. I was saying in between projects that I was working on, I was watching. Thank you. I was watching some comedy because it just always lightens my spirit and mood, and who doesn't like to laugh? So, anyway, I had posed this question over the weekend. My husband and I were talking about this because we always talk about these things. And one of them was about developing mental strength. And it had dawned on me because I listen to, read, and watch a lot of material around creating our own realities and how we live in these three dimensions: the fifth dimension, fourth dimension, third dimension. The fifth dimension being your mental capacity, your fourth dimension being your emotional body, your third dimension being your physical environment, and how what happens in our minds then manifests on this physical level. And so I have been seeing a lot of things on social media recently about like mental health, and particularly mental health in Black men. And a lot of it was just about, well, finally Black men are talking about their mental health, and they now are talking about their mental health, and then the world's making fun of them. And it was like these memes that had like Tyrese and Will Smith and a couple other like celebrities, right? And so then it started coming in my mind around like, okay, well, I understand that, right? Like talking about mental health, but what does that even mean to talk about mental health? Does that mean to talk about or lay all your problems down and say this is what's happening to me? Because I don't think that that's helpful. I think that that actually perpetuates more of what you don't want in your life. But then it does it mean that, okay, I'm recognizing that I have this issue, whether that's depression or anxiety. And so I'm working on getting through that. But then who is helping people to get through that? And we might say therapy, right? Um, and I've been to several therapists over the years, and of course, everybody might have different experiences. But in my experience, it has been more so around, oh, tell me about your life story, right? Tell me about your life. And um, then you kind of talking about like all of the things in your life that's going wrong, right? And so, and that's why you in there, because you feel, depressed. So we had found this old book and called Psychology of Adjustment. It's really an old book. It was written in probably like 1936 or something, I believe. And in it talks about mental hygiene. And so I was thinking like, okay, that's a very good way to put it, because when we think of hygiene, we only think about our bodies, right? And personal hygiene. Are you keeping yourself clean? Right? Are you keeping yourself or preventing yourself from smelling in an unpleasant manner? But it prompted me to then look up the definition of hygiene. And the definition of hygiene is conditions or practices conducive to maintaining health and preventing disease, especially through cleanliness. So we tend to only be concerned about our cleanliness on the outside because that's what people see, other people see. But what about our mental hygiene, and how are we doing with the conditions and practices conducive to maintaining health and preventing disease in our minds? how are we doing that on an emotional level? And then how are we doing that on a physical level? Because whatever happens within our mental level is what manifests for us on a physical level. So if we have, this is why a lot of times you see people who say that they're depressed, right? They on the outside physically, they might not comb their hair or keep up on their personal hygiene or things like that because this is happening within their mind. But then there are some people who, talk about depression or have these issues mentally, but then on the outside, they've been able to mask it for so long. And so they can keep themselves on the outside up and clean, but when they go home, they might be hoarders. They might have a lot of clutter. They may have these things, in their personal away from the public view where you can see that something clearly is happening here on a mental level. So I also then looked up, well, what's the definition of environment? Because we tend to care about the environment more, right? Around like how are we appearing on the outside, and the environment definition is the aggregate of surrounding things, conditions, or influences, the milieu, which is the social and cultural forces that shape the life of a person or a population. And so it prompted me also today because I had read this post about this lady in HR, and apparently she offered somebody uh, I won't say a lower salary than what they could have given her. But the person only asked for X amount of money. And so they gave this person X amount of money. And this HR person was saying, like, well, they didn't have the capacity or the bandwidth to go back and forth in terms of negotiation. And it was so many people that was commenting. It was just saying, like, oh, well, that's wrong. If they had the money, then they should have gave it. They should have gave it to her, and calling it black capitalism. And I had wrote a response and was just saying, like, well, technically, like, this person isn't right or wrong for that, because you have to know your own value. You have to know your own worth. And so you did get what you asked for, but you could have asked for more and you would have got more, but you will never know because you were not aware of your worth. And so a part of developing mental strength is developing a strong, positive self identity about yourself around how you view yourself. And most people view themselves in a very poor manner. Most people don't think highly of themselves at all. And so if you don't think highly of yourself, then of course you are not going to be in alignment with what you are actually worth, because you don't feel like you really worth anything, right? Because maybe over the years you have been, outside people may have said something to you that have made you doubt yourself. And we constantly are under that when we are in school, because we is grades and it's other students, and then you kind of feel like you in this competition and you constantly comparing yourself with people and everybody. And that's even how social media works too. Most people are constantly scrolling and comparing their lives to the lives that they are witnessing on social media, and that doesn't help how you feel about yourself. But if you work on developing mental strength, then it doesn't matter what you see somebody else doing in their life. It doesn't matter what grades other people get. If you are focused on you developing your mental strength so that none of those things bother you, right? Because those are the type of things that then lead you to having depression or making you feel like you're not good enough, or not making, or feeling like you are not worthy or not worth anything, right? And so a lot of people regarding that post, was commenting and saying like, oh, well, the lesson could have been, and she could have helped her. And what the lady was saying, like, be confident, and so, us in particular, Black people, people of color, we have bought into this narrative that we are oppressed. And so then this thought of us being oppressed, also says to us that somebody owes us something, right? We think that somebody should help us work on us or give us something, right? And so the reality is that even if somehow the United States agreed to give Black folks reparations, the truth is we wouldn't do much to keep it because it all starts here in the mind. So if you are in this mindset that you are oppressed, that's a poverty mindset. So somebody can give you all the money in the world, and in a short period of time you'll be back broke because you haven't developed the mental strength and the belief in yourself that you need in order to rely on your own talent, skills, and abilities to increase your manifestations in terms of wealth and abundance. You know, the world is full of wealth, it's full of abundance. We're not running out of money, we're not running out of resources. It doesn't matter what people say about, we don't have enough of this. No, the earth has been spinning just fine for millions of years. And there have been people on this earth for at least 200,000 years. We are not running out of wealth. We are not running out of resources, but that frame of mind will keep you in a fear state. And when you are in a fear state, fear is very debilitating. When you are in a fear state, you can't really move. You're too afraid. You're not really willing to take a risk or take a chance or step out on faith. And so that will keep you in the same position forever if you allow it. Some people, it's a lot of dreams that's buried with people in the cemetery. People who never uh went out here and did what they wanted to do because they became accustomed to pleasing other people and staying in this box. And I just don't believe in doing that. And I find that very hard to do when you work for somebody as well. So I am a advocate of entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship is more than just, oh, I'm working for myself and I am using my own skills, talents, and abilities to make a living. Entrepreneurship is a total different mindset, right? So even in that post that I was just referring to, I wrote, when you have a positive self identity and when you are aware of your worth, you will be willing to walk away from a job or a position that is not in alignment with how you see yourself, and start your own business. And yeah, it's some lessons that you're going to learn in doing so. But we all have had experience with that. And let me tell you something. When I worked for a community development corporation, and I really, really loved the president at the time. And in a sense, like he was just this amazing, dynamic guy. I, like, learned so much from him, and he has always been an inspiration to me. And I always tell him that every time I see him. But what I told him was that when I left there, I would never work for anyone else but myself, because I was like, this has been such a great experience working with you and working for the mission and the vision, your mission and vision. And I appreciate everything that you have taught me and all of the resources and people that I've been able to gain since I've been here. But I said to him, I said, when I leave here, you're the last person I'll ever work for outside of myself. And I meant that. So then when I went on to becoming the founder of a nonprofit organization, I didn't actually want to take the role of executive director, then president and CEO. I wanted to consult for the organization because I didn't want to work myself back into an employment situation. Well, it turns out I actually did. I ended up working myself back into an employment type of situation, though, because I was the founder and because I had the top leadership role, my time was flexible and I, was still able to move how I wanted to move for the most part. But then I started a business while I was there because it's just in my nature to just be an entrepreneur. I have to be able to move around and rely on the skills, talents, and abilities that I know that I innately have. And so it was only going to be a matter of time. And I told my staff from the very beginning, like, I'm not going to be in this position that long. I give it like 5 years tops, if that. And that's around as much time as I gave it. But when I left, I also presented the board with a proposal like, well, I will continue to consult for this organization, but this is how much I want for being able to do that. Right. And so, essentially they were like, nah, we ain't paying that. And I was like, well, okay, you know what I mean? I'm not upset about that. Well, for a minute, I did feel a type of way, but at the same time, and what I had to grow and evolve to know and understand was that no, they wasn't willing to pay what I know that I'm worth. At least I'm worth at least this. I done built all of this. I done did all of this. Y'all here because of me. Like, so I can't rely on other people to see my value and see my worth, and so I think that at the time we feel some type of way, like with that post, we feel some type of way because we're expecting for people to recognize our value and our worth. But that's not their job. Their job is not to recognize your value and your worth. You being mentally strong and developing that mental strength, you will begin to attract people to you who do see your value, who don't question your prices, who don't question what it is that you have to give because they see the value in you. And so when I decided to let go of that way of thinking in terms of, oh, people should have saw my value or saw my worth, then it was like, none of that mattered to me anymore. None of that matters to me anymore. I put my price out there for people who want my services, people who want my coaching services, people who want my writing services, and they pay. They pay same day. I don't have to chase you. I don't have to beg. I don't have to plead, because I believe in what it is that I have to offer and what my skills and my abilities are. The only time that we start to develop these, and we call them different names. We say schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, anxiety. We call them all of these names, but all of it is just a lack of mental strength. But if you go around and start saying that, people will have your head, because how dare you tell people that they will serve themselves better by investing and improving and developing their own selves? Because people so badly want to blame other people for the state and conditions of their own lives. And I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get nowhere. You're not going to get far like doing that. You're not going to get far from with that perspective, because this life that you are living is all on you. 100%. Nobody has anything else to do with that. Nobody has anything else to do with that. So while you sitting around here like, oh well, they should have did this and they could have did that, and when I, please, you're gonna get left behind. But it's not a competition. So if you behind, you just behind. And don't nobody care that you behind. So it is in your best interest to take accountability for your own life. And so what is accountability? Accountability is, what have you invested into these accounts that you now expect to pay out back to you? What have you been depositing in your mental bank? So you trying to make withdrawals from your mental bank with negative funds, insufficient funds, because you haven't invested enough in developing your own mental strength to then go to your mind and withdraw the jewels that you started investing in. It's the same thing when you making investments financially, right? You can't go to your bank and in your savings accounts to get some money out and you ain't put nothing in there. Well, it's not nothing in there. So what have you been investing in yourself so that when it's time for you to tap it and you need to use some of those resources, and now you can't get nothing out because you ain't put nothing in? That's accountability. Accountability is creating a mental account, an emotional account, a physical account, so that when you want to withdraw from that account because you got a project coming up and you need that mental strength and ability and that creativity to finish it out, but you ain't put nothing in there. You ain't read nothing worth anything. You haven't watched anything worth anything. You haven't conversed with people who could enlighten you, or you can exchange meaningful, insightful conversation. No, you scrolling on social media all day. Oh, what they up here talking about? Oh, I don't like this. I'm complaining about this. This is ah, how dare they be living the life? I'm mad. Now I'm depressed. That's what you doing, as opposed to you making deposits in your emotional account. Cause then you out here talking about you want love. Oh, I want somebody to love me for who I am. Okay. Whoever you are, that is who you'll attract to you. Then you get with them and they this and they that. Y'all break up. Now you dogging them. Now you dogging them. Now he ain't SHIT, ain't never been SHIT, and on and on and on. Not taking accountability. This was your deposit. You put shit in here, you gonna get shit out. And it's the same thing in your physical, for your bank account as well. So what did you put in there? You making some investments, you making some change. So we got to understand what accountability is. What you are depositing into these accounts. Are they worth anything? So when it's time for you to make a withdrawal, there's something there. There's abundance there. You know, I talked about how we can't compare ourselves to other people, because why do that? You know, there's a passage in the Bible that says basically the Lord or God will give back the time that the locust has eaten, which means that there is no set time for you to do or achieve anything in your life. So people get depressed because they aren't married by a certain age, or don't have children by a certain age, or they haven't made a certain amount of money by a certain age. But it's hard work working on yourself and evolving yourself and developing yourself, right? So you will get there, right? And when you get there, you'll see the abundance flowing like never before, because you will get the time back. God will give you the time back that the locust has eaten. And the locust is the self-doubt, the anxiety, the depression, these things that don't serve your mental hygiene. So you have to clean out your thoughts the same way you clean the exterior of your body. You have to clean out your heart in the same way that you brush your teeth. And by doing so, your physical environment, physical hygiene will improve. But it starts with you improving your mental hygiene, cleaning this up, cleaning this mind up, letting go of those thoughts, those beliefs, those ways that no longer serve you. Letting it go, giving it up, using your free will. You have free will. You can make a choice. You have a choice to allow life to happen to you, or you can choose to happen to your life, or to make your life happen for you. It's your choice, though. But let me tell you something. If you allow life to happen to you, then it's going to be a lot of suffering with that, as opposed to you making a choice to clean up your mind and your heart so that your physical environment matches that. You want riches, you want wealth. On the outside, you want to drive that car, you want to live in that house, you want to make that money, you want to take them trips. Then that got to be up here first. The visualization of it. Yeah. Are you happy? Are you happy enough? How happy will you be when you take that trip to that place that you always wanted to go? Instead of you telling yourself, "Well, I ain't gonna never get over there because this job only pay me this much, and I can't afford to do this, and I gotta wait, and I gotta save up, and I gotta." you got to take your mind to the next level, and that's developing mental strength. If you want to achieve anything in life, you have to pull out all the stops and say, look, I'm just going for it. I'm just going for it. I'm a plan as much as I can plan. And then I'll allow it to come to me as it happens. As I'm being guided, I will allow it to come to me. Your physical environment is a physical manifestation of your thoughts. And we don't want to believe that, but it's true. It's true. So nothing is happening to you. Nothing is happening to you that you did not call into your experience, into your life. It's not this, we always say, like, oh, I'm being tested, or the devil is at work. The devil is you. The devil is you. The devil is your thoughts. The devil is the locust. It's the thoughts that go against what you say it is that you want in your life. So whatever you pressing upon and impressing upon your subconscious is what your physical manifestation will reveal about itself. So I wanted to just come on and give a word about mental health and mental hygiene. We have to think about how we're using mental health. If we're not talking about mental health and mental hygiene in the same capacity, then going to a therapist and talking about all your problems is, you gonna get more of those problems. That's why I say, if you go to therapy, fine, but go to therapy and talk about all your joys and all the great things that have happened to you and how you're looking forward to this life that you have planned out for yourself. Make that be your reality, because the past is there in a sense that you can't change it. You can't change it. What you can do is you can know with all the knowing that you are going to have a better future than you had in the past. Period. And let the past go. Rewrite the story. Rewrite the story. That'll make you feel better. Rewrite the story in the past. But you gotta let that go. Who cares about what these people said about you? Who cares when somebody called you ugly or called you fat or told you you was black and told you wasn't gonna never be nothing and told you this and told you that? Who cares? So what? Nobody is unique. People get bullied all the time. My puppy bully us. She's an American bully. She always be trying to bully us. She's smaller than us. She always trying to bully us. And what's funny about animals is you can't tell an animal that they're not who they are. Some of the meanest and most vicious dogs that I've come across have been this small. They got heart. You know when people say, like, yeah, they got heart. Them little dogs have heart. You can't tell them. That dog don't know it's small. That dog, like, I'm a dog. I mean, so what's up? I'm gonna bite you and I'm gonna fight you. What's up? They don't care. But us, we up here meek and all weak, like, oh no, somebody talked about us and hurt our feelings, and they enslaved some of our ancestors, and I'm just so oppressed, and nobody will give me a job, and they only did that to me because I was black, and uh, uh, uh. Let the weak say, I am strong. If you mentally weak, fine, say that so that you identify that, so that you can develop mental strength. There's nothing wrong with saying that. It's nothing wrong with saying, like, man, I was weak. I was weak. I had some kinks I had to work out in my mind. I had aspects of myself that made me mentally weak. And I knew better, because I have been a mentally strong person just because of my environment. But I had to get back, like, girl, what's up? What is you doing? What are you talking about? They did what? Girl, they ain't do none of you. Get over yourself. What you call this into your experience? I call these things into my experience. I got everything that I wanted. I got. I asked for it. So what you crying for? What would I'm crying for? I got it. Accountability. All right, I've been on here 30 minutes, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.